Your presentation is almost better than mine. So my name is Shashi Jain. Like Tubton, I actually have like 5, 6 different hats, professional hats. This is one of my day jobs, one of my full-time jobs. I'm a value-added reseller of 3D printers. And what that means is if you want to see my website, it's actually not going to show up here. It's a really uninteresting site that will sell you a 3D printer if you want to buy one. So we sell MakerBots, we sell cube systems, we sell filaments that are like ink for 3D printers. But before I go any further, how many of you, other than Chris, before you got here, had never heard of 3D printing or have heard of 3D printing? Heard of 3D printing first? All right. Everyone's heard of 3D printing. Okay, great. So for those of you who have not seen what 3D printing is, this is what it is. It's literally the building of objects from plastics or from other materials in layers, one layer at a time. And you can build almost anything. And most of what my talk is going to be about is about the things that you can do with it and some of the remarkable things that are happening. Because, frankly, reselling is not that interesting. But some of the things that I'm doing and seeing, like educating kids, for example, is truly remarkable. So what can you do? What you see mostly people doing with 3D printing is rapid prototyping. And this is an example of rapid prototyping a helmet in multiple colors. And that's actually a flexible material. This is the mainstream type of 3D printing, where you can print things like this with filaments of plastic. Please pass it around.
So, Sashi, hold that up again. And how many parts did you print?
So this is made out of plastic. This was printed as one piece. Yeah. Have you heard of SLA printing or printing from resin? So you start with a vat of plastic resin, and you shine a laser light on it, or you shine a projector into it, and it hardens the resin one layer at a time. Can anyone tell me what that is? Anyone know what that is?
Toothbrush.
It's a toothbrush. It's you take a scan of your mouth, and then you build this model that has bristles in it. You put it inside your mouth, and 6 seconds later, your teeth are clean. And it's on the market right now. You can buy it today. And let's see, I don't have an example of that one. I do have an example of this one, or of sintering, I think. Okay, so sintering is literally taking particles of powder and melting the surfaces together. And the way that they use this is to repair skulls. So the type of printing that Chris was talking about is actually printing cartilage, like literally taking cartilage and extruding something that looks like an esophagus. This is taking powder and lasering it together and then making biocompatible materials. You can do this with plastic, you can do it with ceramics, you can do it with titanium, you can do it with just about anything. It's a pretty amazing technology. This turbine here, in fact, was a functional part built out of laser sintering. Z-printing. Anyone ever seen this? So this is taking powder, the same powder, and inkjetting it with an epoxy, for an example. So this is an example of Z-printing. It's an urban airship. This is their little eye beacons. And it feels like sandstone when you print it out. You get a functional view of what the object that you want to build looks like. This is actually being used to make finished products. So you can go to Disney parks and get your head put onto a stormtrooper, or your child's head put onto a princess, or you can put yourself in carbonite, which is really rad.
And you mean, to be clear, you mean a rendition of yourself in
No, I was talking about cutting your head off. So, absolutely. Anyone ever seen this? This is paper, 3D printing with paper. So this is layers of paper that they glue together and cut. It's a little process here. Check it out. So it's literally strips of paper that are glued together and then cut, and then you can use inkjet on this, and it's the most freakishly realistic thing that you can imagine. Someone brought me this once at a conference. It's like a big 6-inch block, and you take away these little metal pieces, you excavate it, and inside is a head staring at you. You know, it's amazing. And then the last thing, of course, everyone talks about 3D printing guns. Well, you can print a real gun now as well, full metal. So I'm going to take a little bit of extra time to show you something that I'm just really more proud of than anything, is this kind of printing. This is a printing of a 3D printed prosthetic. Normally, hand prosthetics cost $20,000. Two gentlemen figured out that they could 3D print one for $2,000, full order of magnitude less. And not only that, but they're doing this as part of a global network now of 500 people who are printing prosthetics for anyone who wants them. I'm part of that network. So that's one of the things that I'm doing with 3D printing. And with that, I'm going to open it up to questions. And if you give me some interesting questions, I have some 3D printed prizes.
What's the largest piece?
This.
Repeat the question.
So what's the largest piece that I ever printed? This is the largest thing I've ever printed. This is a 67 Cobra, which is set up as a Pinewood Derby car. I'm a den leader for the Cub Scouts, so I got to run it against my kids. I totally destroyed them too.
How scalable is this? Will we be 3D printing houses and skyscrapers, or is this just limited to small projects?
So that's a fantastic question, and that was, well, how scalable is this? Most of these processes rely on a gantry system, which is very scalable. Skyscrapers are built using a gantry system, and that's basically a head put onto sliding rails. So you can build houses, you can build little tchotchkes like this. Kind of feel like Carrot Top without the hair, you know, pulling out all these things. You can build almost anything. Right now, the build volumes are less than 11 by 11 by 6, but the largest printers that are going to be available a month from now are going to be 3 feet by 3 feet by 6 feet.
What about VOCs, outgassing? What are they doing to make the material a little bit more environmental?
That's a fantastic question. So what about VOCs, outgassing, materials? Material science is where really interesting things are happening. There's actually 4 places in the world where 3D printed materials are being produced, like filaments and powders and whatnot. One of them is here in Portland. And they're doing all sorts of interesting things. But most of the printing you'll see is with corn plastic. So this is the same stuff that you eat off of at Whole Foods. ABS plastic is the one that outgasses. Most of these newer filaments like PET and nylon, they won't outgas.
You mentioned the toothbrush. What about dental work, teeth?
Dental is the biggest, so the question was, what about dental work and teeth? Dental is actually the biggest area of growth for 3D printing. There's whole software programs that 3D Systems puts out dedicated to that. I don't know if they're actually producing teeth though. They are producing jaws. They are producing palates, and I wouldn't doubt that you could do teeth as well.
What does it look like for fully integrated pieces, like integrating electronics, integrating other kinds of wires like that, putting everything together at once rather than putting stuff together?
Gotcha. So the question was, what does it look like if you're building a whole completed project, like an iPhone? If you're building an iPhone, you know, is there something that could do something like that? Short answer is that there's very few machines that can do that right now. The problem is of getting the materials to stick to each other and work together. There are more experiments on combining like different types of plastics together, for example, different types of metals together, and then joining them together as a post-process. Actually, you got a question? Why don't we go here?
How can I get something 3D printed if I don't
That's a great question. So how can you get something 3D printed if you don't own one? There's a service called Make XYZ where you can look up your local 3D printers in the area and submit jobs to them. Everyone familiar with Thingiverse? Anyone familiar with it? Thingiverse is like a Wikipedia of things, of objects. And you can go on and select those things to be printed. In fact, these are little headphone holders. You know, just to keep your earbuds straight. These were straight off of Thingiverse. And you can download almost anything for print there.